everyone. Good afternoon and good morning. And thank you so much for joining us. My name is Heidi Narowi, and I am a sales support specialist here at Aspira Retirement Living. The team members I support are responsible for helping seniors make the important decision to enter the next stage of life, one we hope that will start at Aspira Retirement Living Lifestyles. To take you through this presentation today, I am pleased to introduce you to John Yu. John has been a volunteer at the Canadian Bankers Association since 2011 and greatly enjoys fostering financial literacy across all age groups, from high school students to seniors in community centers. He is a chartered professional accountant and certified general accountant by training and retired from TD Bank in 2016 after more than 30 years of service. During John's career, he has lectured for the Fellow Life Management Institute and at Ryerson University, and is as proud of a member of his community as he has also volunteered his precious time with the Scouts of Canada, the YMCA, and St. Thomas the Apostle Church. As an expert in banking, John is going to teach you how to identify and protect yourself from frauds and scams targeted at seniors. During this session, John will cover top forms of financial fraud. Is it legit? 5 questions you should be asking. 9 ways to prevent fraud. And be smart about your PIN. Also, how to protect yourself from title fraud. So when it comes to money matters, you will understand how to protect yourself. As we move through this presentation today, please feel free to pop any questions you have into the chat group, and we certainly look forward to hearing your questions and comments. Now, without any further ado, I give you my friend, John.
Thank you, Heidi. Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me? All right. My name is John. Welcome to the the fraud prevention seminar for this afternoon. Right? Before I begin, I'd like to thank Heidi, Maureen, Natasha, and all the supporting staff for making this happening. Today, we are going to talk about the fraud prevention schedule. But before that, we have some thing to talk about the sponsors. Okay, so let me see. The Canadian Bankers Association has developed Your Monies for seniors as part of the ongoing commitment to support the financial literacy needs of seniors across Canada. The CBA is an association that supports the banking industry in Canada and also provides information to help consumers manage their financial affairs. Additional assistance and support was provided by the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada. The FCAC is a federal government agency with a strong consumer education mandate and provides consumer with accurate and objective information about financial products and services, and has a commitment to improving financial literacy among seniors. All right, let's start from slide 1. Fraud prevention. Know the signs, empower yourself. So today's goal would be, what is financial fraud and where does it happen? Goal number 2, why are you at risk? Number 3, signs and red flags, how to recognize them. Goal number 4 is how to protect yourself. The last goal, number 5, is getting help. The next slide you see is pocketing your information, not just your wallet. We'll come to that in a minute. Financial fraud. What is financial fraud and where does it happen? So financial fraud is any kind of crime that targets your money through your bank account, credit cards, or investment accounts. So think of it as a modern day equivalent of pickpocketers. Except in this case, the scammers are looking for your personal information, such as your account numbers, the PIN numbers, the personal identifier like your SIN numbers, or passport numbers. So that kind of information can give them access to so much more than what is in your wallet. So it can be used to take money from your accounts or charge over credit cards with purchases or cash advance. So the scammer will try to contact you in any number of ways, including email, on the phone, and through the voicemails. Why you? So 35% of Canadians have been victims of financial fraud. And 44% know someone who's been a victim. And next is why seniors are at risk, more at risk. The seniors are more at risk because most are on fixed income. So which means financial losses have a bigger impact. Plus, because they have accumulated savings over years, many seniors have more money on hand for scammers to target. And seniors can also sometimes be lonely, isolated, and less experienced with technology. So all these factors mean they are more likely to be trusting or less likely to ask someone close to them for a second opinion. So let's take a look what financial fraud is and the top forms it takes. Identity theft is the main gateway to many forms of financial fraud. So someone who steals your information can access your bank accounts, government benefits, and just about any area of your life. All this can be done with small pieces of information, like your birth date and your name and your address, right? It cost millions in 2018. So estimated about 21.2 million. Next is that credit debit card fraud. So credit card losses amounted to about 862 million in 2018. Next would be phishing and vishing. Now, what is phishing? Phishing, when scammers send emails and create websites that look like they are from a legitimate company you might deal with, like your bank or cable company. The next form is vishing. Vishing is voice phishing, where criminals are using the phone to trick consumer into revealing personal information. Just a personal anecdote now. Before we started this seminar, Heidi and I were just exchanging, and she told me a story about her opening a credit card account with TD Bank. Mm-hmm. So immediately after he finished with the bank, she went home. She immediately got the email from someone showing exactly the TD logo, saying that, oh, they have some problem with her account and would like her to change the password. So she immediately went back to the bank and showed the email to the bank. The branch says, no, it is a fraud. So it's amazing how the scammer got hold of that information, that he opened a new credit card right away like that. So that's phishing for you. Wishing is someone leaves something on your voicemail and trying to ask you to call back. And they will also ask for your personal information, like your name, your bank account, and your PIN number. That's what they want. Once they have that, they can bankrupt you, right? Okay. Next one is a romance scam. Oh, I think most of you know what it's all about. The romance scam is one type of financial fraud that preys on people's emotion. A scammer will target an individual through a social networking or online dating site and will build a romantic relationship over time, sometimes over many months. Once a scammer has a victim's trust, he or she will begin to ask for money. So sometimes the scammer claims to live in a faraway country and needs money to travel to meet the intended victim in person. So he or she will ask for money for medical or family emergency. So oftentimes, large sums of monies are involved. So on a personal note, my sister-in-law in California, in LA, was a victim a few years ago. Luckily, she came to her senses before she had to part with her money. So she's immediately deleted all the accounts. So that romance scam reported loss of $50 million. But worldwide is more than $1 billion industry. Okay. Grandparent scam is the next one. Grandma, is that you? Do you know who this is? So how this works is that this is the one call that you should not call, okay? The grandparent scam involves a criminal calling you by phone and claiming to be your grandchild. He or she will then ask for money to help them out in an emergency, a car accident, or problem in a foreign country. So they'll ask you to send money through a transfer service urgently and with time to think twice. And they'll tell you not to tell their parents. So would you believe that cock and bull story? Next one is a gift card and prepaid card scams. You know how Shoppers Drug Mart sell a lot of prepaid gift cards? Okay. So this is another personal account. I know a friend who saw an old lady lining up, buying so many of the gift cards. So she asked her, why were you buying all these gift cards? Or the lady was saying, someone called me and said I owe the government so much money. So I'm buying this to go and give to them. So that's how it works now. You receive a phone message or email from a criminal who's posing as a bank or government agency. The message says you have an overdue balance or outstanding debt and demands payment in gift cards. Okay, very often these emails or wild messages use threatening and aggressive language to frighten and bully you into paying the phony debt. Sometimes the criminal might pose as bank investigator and will ask you to purchase gift cards as part of an investigation of fraudulent activity on your bank account. Remember, banks and government agency will never request gift cards or prepaid cards in payment or debt or bill. Fraudulent emails and voicemail messages sent by criminals may look like and sound like they come from banks or retailers, but they are scam and should be reported to the company, been spoofed, and deleted. To report a fraudulent email, be sure to send the email as an attachment, right? So most of you must have got email from iTunes, PayPal, or some such purported retailers, right? Saying that, oh, you owe them something or your account is in compromise. So they want you to click on the link and then give them the personal information they wanted. Okay. Phony bank investigate scam is the next one. So in this phone scam, fraudster impersonate a bank investigator to try and trick consumer in providing their own money to aid a criminal investigation. This is how the scam works. There are many variations to this scam, but in general, this is how it plays out. An individual receive a phone call from someone who knows their name. The caller claims to be a bank investigator, a bank manager, or police investigator, and explain that the bank is investigating a series of fraud cases that have been committed by staff at the individual's bank. The caller then asks the individual to withdraw a large sum of money from the account that will be inspected and used as evidence as part of the investigation. So the caller explains that because the suspected criminal works at the branch in question, the individual should not tell the branch staff why they are withdrawing the money. After the money is withdrawn, the victim is advised to meet the investigator, a predetermined nearby destination where the money is handed over for investigation. So once the money changes hand, the victim is instructed to return home, await a phone call confirming that the money has been redeposited into the original account. Unfortunately, no call comes. The money is not returned, and the inspector is never heard from again. So luckily, there are a few simple steps you can take to ensure you don't fall prey to this type of fraud. Number one, remember that neither you, your bank, nor police investigator will ever request that you assist in an undercover investigation or ask you to withdraw money from your account. If you receive such a suspicious call, hang up and call the police. Number two, never give up personal bank information or the phone unless you have called your bank and they ask you questions to verify your identity. Number three, if you do need to withdraw a large sum of money for a legitimate purpose, request a bank draft or money order, as this ensures only the intended recipient is able to access the money. Criminals will not accept these forms of payment because it creates a paper trail that can be used by real investigators to track the fraudster. Number four, check your bank statements frequently and report any irregularities to your bank as soon as you notice them. Talking about paper trail now in number three, now the scammer is so smart, they ask for Bitcoins now to pay in Bitcoins because that's virtual money, right? That doesn't leave any trace. So once you hear Bitcoin in payment, just hang up. Next, CRA scam. Oh, they come in different languages, Chinese, Indian, whatever, right? And as soon as you block one number, they have a new number and they call you, all right? So the CR scam works like this. They try to dupe you into believing that they're representatives from the Canada Revenue Agency, the CRA in short, and has many forms, including phone, email, and text messages. The calls, emails, and texts can look and sound authentic and threatening. They are very often red flags that communication is a scam. So, does the call or voicemail make threats about debt that you owe to CRA and that you don't pay up? They will take you to the police and take your home. Number two, does the email, call, or text convey a sense of urgency or warning that they'll contact police if you don't reply? Number three, does the email or text ask you to click on a link and verify your identity by entering personal information so you can receive a refund or benefit payment? The CRA has information on the website about how to verify if it is a CRA that is legitimately trying to contact you. Next, the mortgage fraud and title fraud. There are many different types of real estate fraud, but the two that consumers should be aware of are mortgage fraud and title fraud. A mortgage fraud occurs when an individual intentionally provides inaccurate, fraudulent, or incomplete information to lender in order to secure a mortgage that they may not otherwise be granted. So this could include anything from an individual claiming to have a high income than they actually have, to providing falsified proof of identification or falsify appraisal of the property. So that's mortgage fraud. The title fraud. The title fraud occurs when the fraudster assumes the identity of an individual homeowner and then uses that false identity to pose as the homeowner. They could then assume the title on the home, sell the property, or obtain a mortgage on the property or other properties in the homeowner's name. So that's scary. I was talking to Heidi when this module of the CPA fraud prevention seminar was created back in 2014. Title frauds were already very popular. So one way of preventing yourself from becoming a victim, you could apply for a home equity loan from your bank, or HELOC, it's called HELOC. So what happens is once you apply for a line of credit using your home as security, right? So the bank has a lien on your home. So then it's not as easy for a scammer or fraudster to get hold of your property, right? But of course, there's costs involved. The alternative is to buy the title fraud insurance from the insurance company. So those are two ways that you could use to prevent yourself becoming a victim. Okay. Next is recap. So what have we learned so far? What is fraud? And why is it risk to seniors? Fraudster, scammer want your money, identity, and information. Forms of financial fraud. So we talk about identity theft, right? Phishing, wishing, mortgage fraud, title fraud, all those. Debit card and credit card fraud. So now we go and look at the face of the real fraud in action now, okay? So now I'm going to share with you a short YouTube video, okay? Sharing. Share this. This one. Bear with me a while.
Consider a few common cases of financial fraud, how they work, and what they look like in action. Let's start with Margaret. She is 70 years old and uses email regularly to keep in touch with her sister and her daughter's family. One day, an urgent email came in from her bank asking her to update her account information and passwords. If she failed to do so, the email explained, they would close her account. The email looked legitimate. It had her bank's logo on it, and the site it told her to visit also looked credible. So, she entered her bank account information and her password and thought she was done. Until she checked her bank statement the next day and saw money had been withdrawn from her checking account. Next, let's consider Theo's experience. Theo, who is 76, has lived alone since his wife passed away 5 years ago. When he got a call from his grandson Craig, he was excited to hear from him, but became alarmed when he found out that Craig was in Thailand and his passport and wallet had been stolen. Craig asked that Theo not tell his parents because he didn't want to get in trouble. Theo, concerned for his grandson, wired $3,000 to help Craig get his ID replaced and buy a plane ticket home. By the time he realized Craig had never been to Thailand and that the person he had wired money to was a criminal, it was too late. Now let's talk about Gus. Gus and his wife Tina are both 65. They retired last year and have been shopping for a trailer to take on their dream trip across Canada. They found a great deal on Craigslist. A guy in Ohio looking to sell his trailer at a super low price. All they had to do was transfer half the cost up front, and he'd drive it up for them on the weekend. Eager to get a good deal, they sent him $2,000 right away and never heard from the guy again.
Here you go.
Please also note if anyone has any questions or comments thus far, feel free to do so. Ask away.
Oh, just technical problem now.
Mhm.
I want to close this. Okay. Okay, back in business now.
Mhm.
So what's the moral of the story of those short YouTube video? If it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true, right?
Mhm.
Another saying is that in God we trust, all other we audit. So you do not believe anyone, right? Having said that, I have a question for you. If I tell you or someone tell you that I have been to hell and back, would you believe me? Tell me, do you believe or you don't believe? Heidi, how about you?
Possibility. I'd hate for it to have happened, but it could be a possibility. Yeah.
Okay, this is a trick question, Heidi. So there's a town called Hell
Oh,
in
yes.
Belize or somewhere, right? In Caribbean.
Mhm.
So when you're cruising there, you
Yes.
go there and you come back. So you tell your friend, I've been to Hell and back. So it's perfectly okay, right?
It is. That's very good.
All
That's very
right.
good. The
All right,
Cayman
let's
Islands,
continue.
that's where it is. Yeah, I've been there. I've
Cayman
been to
Islands,
hell and back.
okay. Let's continue. All right, that's one. Okay, what do you think these three scenarios have in common? So how could the subject have done things differently? Like Gus and his wife, the one that bought the VR, what? No, the recreational vehicle.
Mhm.
Someone in Florida promising them to drive it to their driveway. No way. Asking them to advance of $5,000. They might as well kiss the money goodbye, right? Yeah. And then a grandparent scheme, the urgency not to tell their parent and why the money immediately. So everything is like quick, right? And then the first one was giving away account and PIN number, right? So what are the warning signs? And were they picked up on? Have any of these types of scam happened to any one of you or one you know? Must have, right? I was talking to Heidi before this seminar. At that time in 2012-13, there are lots of people knocking, coming to see your utility bill. So they want to switch you out of your contract to a longer term and costlier contract. And if the victims senior folks, what they do, they swindle them and forcing them to buy new water boiler what they don't need, water heater that they don't need. Okay, so that's how what things was going on back then. Now we didn't have Bitcoin, and we didn't have too much Bitcard, so they were just going on regular basis, want money, right? So now they've got Bitcoin, which leave no traces. They become more sophisticated now. Okay. As far as credit card fraud and debit card fraud, recently it become more popularity, right? So what happens is that they use computer to figure out your account number and your PIN. So out of the blue, you don't have to lose your card. They can figure out, right? This happened to me a few years ago. I went to buy a grocery, less than $10. I presented my card and it was immediately declined. So I took out my other card and then I paid. I called the bank, what happened, right? So the bank said, oh, they've found irregular activities on my account. And so they shut it down. So what happened was there was a $30 charge in Calgary, and there was a $130 charge from Alberta as well for car repairs. So what happened is that I had never been to those places at that time. So the bank says, okay, just write us a letter saying that you have not been there and my charges will be indemnified. Okay. So somehow the fraudster was able to figure out my credit card number and my PIN, even though I did not lose my credit card. As far as debit card is concerned, what happens now, it's very popular now when you take a cab downtown, especially at night. So what happened, you give them the your debit card, they ask you to put in your PIN number. So somehow they're monitoring your whatever you typed in, and they swap a false debit card in return, right? So before you know it, the next morning, your account is brought down to zero already. So that's your debit card fraud, okay? All right, next. Is it a fraud? And how do we recognize? So 5 questions to ask. Is someone asking for personal or financial information over the phone, email, or wire text? Next. Has someone requested your PIN number or password? A PIN number, you know, is personal identification number, right? You use it for your credit card, for your debit card as well, right? Now, the PIN is a personal thing, and you should protect it. I have a story for you about the credit card that was shared by a couple in BC. While they were married, the husband told his wife the PIN for his credit card. And after some time, they got divorced. And sometime later, for one of the kids' birthday, she was invited back for the party. And the next day, when the husband checked on her account balance on the credit card, she saw $24,000 charges. So then she figured out then her ex must have taken the credit card and charged up the credit card, right? So he immediately called the bank and said, this is what happened, right? So do you think the bank would indemnify, cover the charges for him, or make him pay? What do you think? So because he's given the PIN to his wife, ex-wife before, he's liable for all the new charges. So never share a PIN, even with your better half, right? All right, that's the story, right? Do you have checks or a new credit card that didn't arrive in your mailbox? So this is a sign that someone may have taken your mail or could have access to what's in there. Is someone asking you for full payment for goods or services upfront? So just like Gus in the YouTube, right? They want 5,000 upfront and say they will drive the car to your driveway from Florida. Okay. Next is, are you being pressured to act now? If someone is pressuring you to act right away, it is a sign that this might not be legit. Take your time and do not send money or provide information until you are sure someone is not trying to scam you. Anything else you can think of? Okay, so let's talk about ways to avoid frauds and scam. Sure, we know what some red flags are, but what are some steps we can take to be more proactive? So protect your personal financial information. Now, don't ever respond to requests for this kind of information unless you have initiated contact or know the organization you are dealing with is legitimate. For instance, if you call up your travel agent to book your flight, so she'll of course ask you for the credit card number, right? So because you started the conversation, it's legit that you should give her, okay? But if someone you never talked to call you up and ask for your credit card or PIN, you should not do that. Number two, destroy all your financial documents before putting them in the recycling. You know how there's a blue bin by the community mailbox? You get a junk mail, there's addressed to you, put your name and address, you just throw in the blue box. You should not be doing that because anyone can pick that up, have your personal information there, all right? What you should do, take it home, share it up, especially the part that has your name and address, okay? And same thing for your investment statement account and stuff like that. Anything that has personal information, guard them properly. Come to think of it, when you go to hotel or when you take a flight or airplane, tickets and stuff, and the steps and boarding pass, take it home and shred it instead of just tossing in the blue box, okay? Number three, never give personal or financial information over the phone unless you initiate a call. Report lost or stolen credit debit cards, driver license, social insurance card, passport, etc. immediately. Okay, why? Because if someone else find it and they start using it up, then you might be responsible for those charges, right? Number five, consult with a trusted financial advisor. So if you have some friends knowledgeable in finance matter, you can talk to them for advice, right? Someone you can trust. Number six, review your financial statement monthly and see if there's any irregularities and look at the charges and see if they are the charges you incurred, not someone else incurred on your behalf, okay? Next, never share a PIN number or password with anyone and choose PINs and password that are hard to guess. Don't use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as your password. Do not use PASSWORD as your password. Do not use your birthday for your password. Do not use your name as your birth date, right? as your password, because they're easy for the hackers to crack in. So nowadays, they recommend you to have combine characters and numeric, alphanumeric, 16 digits with special characters, uppercase and lowercase. But warning though, we being seniors, we can forget things very easily, let alone these passwords, okay? So make sure you write down the password that you created. Otherwise, you create yourself a lot of troubles. Next, keep virus and anti-spyware up to date on your computers, tablets, and mobile devices. I don't know if you guys have encountered this. You go to some website, something pops up, or your computer is contaminated now, has some virus. So click on this. So don't do that. You may want to shut down your computer and restart to see if it's still there, right? But don't click on it because you could be a victim of fraud. And the reason they're asking you to keep the virus and anti-spy program up to date, because now they are very sophisticated now. They don't only have a virus and spyware, they can have ransomware now. So how does ransomware work? What happens, they take control of your computer and then they demand a ransom. If you don't give them a ransom, you will not be able to access your computer anymore. So this is not on a personal level, on even in multi-billion corporations as well. Okay, so ransomware is the latest form of fraud. Number 9, visit websites that you're sure are legit and shop online with only reputable businesses. Okay? And number 10, change your password every couple of months. Don't let yourself be a victim. Take action. So the biggest thing to do when you think you might be the victim of fraud is to act immediately. So as we saw earlier in this presentation, 35% of the Canadians say they have been the victim of financial fraud. So it happens a lot. So make sure you don't remain a victim. Take action to get yourself some help. First, report immediately to your financial institution or bank. Call your bank and tell them what has happened. You need to contact the police. These scammers are criminals and should be treated as such. You can also report it to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center, which has resources to help you. If you have been the victim of an investment scam or fraud, then you can contact your provincial securities regulators, which oversee your investment practices in your province. Okay, there you go. Contact your local police force, report to Anti-Fraud Center, contact your provincial securities regulators for investment fraud or scams. Contact Credit Reporting Agency, Equifax Canada, and TransUnion Canada. These two companies can give you a credit report free if you write in. Okay, so then you could see your credit report and see if they are in order. Next, helpful links. Canadian Bankers Association, which is www.cba.ca, and sign up for the free fraud prevention tips email newsletter at the website. The next one is the Financial Consumer Agency of Canada, www.canada.ca/FCAC. The last one is ABC Live Literacy Internet Matters. That's www.abclive.ca ABC Live literacy.ca/all-program/internet-matters/. I hope you enjoy the seminar. If you have any question, I'm here to answer them.
Thank you so much, John. I know on behalf of so many people that probably have learned so much. Just as we thought we knew what it was to be scammed and to be wary of fraud, thank you for showing us how sophisticated things are getting and how we should still always be vigilant and keep an eye out. I'm especially going to use your 9 ways to prevent fraud. Thank you so very much for today. And to all our guests, if you have any questions, this is a perfect time to certainly let us know. Or if you have comments you'd like us to share with everyone, that would be wonderful as well. Oh, excellent. I see someone saying, thank you, John. I've learned a lot. We appreciate
Oh, my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. It's absolutely true. Any other questions?
All comments. Or
Or
experience you want to
comments?
share.
Oh, I think we're great. Well,
We're great.
thank you again, John, and thank you to everyone who joined us today.